welcome to Classic and Retro, and welcome back to the Jaguar Salisbury 4HA axle rebuild. Now, if you haven't already, check out the previous video where we stripped, cleaned, painted and got this ready for reassembly, and check out some of the previous videos on the other project cars, including the Mark 1 Jaguar that this is going to be fitted to. Now, I've been putting this off and I don't really know why. I've got everything here to rebuild it. I've got all the new seals, all the parts, and I just need to get it done so I can get it back in the car. We'll leave these two loose for now because the handbrake mechanism bolts onto those, so there's no point those being tightened up yet. That'll get put on after axle goes in car. What we need to do now is flip the axle over, because if you watch the first video, we stripped the axle with it pointing this way, and I've kept everything orientated in the correct direction. So to save confusion on my part, we'll flip the axle over, rebuild it the right way around. Obviously that's the bottom of the diff, so we'll get it facing the right way and yeah, get it rebuilt. It's actually didn't record the last bit, but basically you put the inner seal in, which is a very small seal. Then you can put the half shaft with the bearing in, and then this is the outer race of the bearing, and that just wants tapping in. So that's this side half shaft in. We're going to look at the shims and the caliper carrier and everything now. I'll show you putting the half shaft in on the other side. Like I say, it just didn't record for some reason. So let's get this side finished up and then we'll look at the other side. We have a gasket that goes on there, and then this plate with the seal goes on top of that, just like that. The bolts went through from the outside. I'll put those through now, and then I've actually kept and numbered the shims, so I can actually put those back on exactly how they came off, and we'll know in theory that it's shimmed up correctly. In theory. That's the keyway that holds the stub axle on. That literally just needs to go about like that. We've got the grease nipple. I was going to buy new grease nipples, you can't get them anymore, so I've cleaned that one out. That's moving around as well as it should, so we'll say that that's okay for now. I mean, we're going to know if there's no grease in there. So that's obviously the nice new grease nipple, well, cleaned up grease nipple in. We'll tighten these up and we'll get the hub on. Right, fitting the half shaft. Let's record it, shall we? On this side. So you've got an inner seal. That goes in first. And that just pushes into place. You've got your half shaft, which we cleaned and fitted a new bearing on a couple of weeks ago. And that literally pushes in through your new seal all the way down, and then you'll feel the diff, the resistance, and you've just got to line it up and you'll feel it and gauge where it needs to go. So that's quite obviously in place. You get your outer bearing race. You want to get it lined up as good as you can, and then we can just tap it in evenly. You can see it going in really easily. We're not really trying. That's your half shaft in with the new bearing. There we go. Now it's a repeat on this side of the other side, getting the shims on and getting the end plate on. I also cleaned these up. These were the bolts that held the upper arms on. I cleaned them up just because they were in the axle. So we'll put them back in. At least we'll have some nice new bolts for when we fit it to the car. Getting there. So, a couple of issues. One is I'm pretty sure these are the wrong thread. They don't seem to thread onto the end of the axle. So I'm going to look into that. But we'll get the discs on tonight anyway. We'll get the hubs on, and then we are going to change the pinion seal. So let's get these discs on and hubs, and we're almost there. And there we have it. One rebuilt Salisbury 4HA axle for a Jaguar Mark II. That'll be fitted into my Jaguar Mark 1. Now there is a couple of little things left to do. I'm going to reuse the castle nuts out of my old axle as the ones I got supplied with the wrong thread. So I'll use the old castle nuts with the new split pins and washers, and I'll quickly change the pinion seal before that goes in. That's about it for this one. That's all we've got time for. It's quite late. I'll see about getting this fitted in the next couple of weeks. It'd be nice to actually see some progress on the Mark 1. So if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. It really does help me out. Drop a comment down below about the rear axle rebuild, any questions or comments. And I'll see you next time.